The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky without warning. There were thousands of them covering the stars like dark clouds. They came from the Galactic Concord, a group of 47 different alien races that controlled most of the known galaxy. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UEDF Defender, watching the enemy fleet through the view screen. Her hands gripped the armrests of her command chair. 300 human ships faced 15,000 alien vessels. The math was simple and terrifying. "They're broadcasting on all channels," her communications officer said, his voice tight with fear. The main screen flickered. An alien appeared, its silver skin gleaming under harsh lights. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its elongated head. Ambassador Krelix of the Concord High Command spoke in perfect English, though its mouth barely moved. "Humans of Earth, you have violated the Treaty of Czar 9. Your military colonies in the Forbidden Zones are acts of war. The Concord demands your immediate and complete surrender." Admiral Chen felt her stomach drop. The colonies were research stations, not military bases. But she knew the truth did not matter now. The Concord had decided Earth was a threat, and they had come to eliminate that threat. "What are your terms?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. "You will disarm completely. All military vessels will be destroyed. Earth will accept Concord protection. Resistance will result in planetary bombardment." The words hung in the air like poison. Chen looked at her crew. Young faces, scared faces. They were ready to fight, but fighting meant dying. Fighting meant watching their home burn from orbit. "We need time to consider," Chen said. "You have 1 hour." The transmission ended. Chen turned to her tactical officer. "What are our chances?" "0, Admiral. Even if we destroyed 10 of their ships for every one of ours, we would lose. And based on their shield technology, we might manage 1-to-1 at best." Chen closed her eyes. She had spent 20 years in the Defense Force. She had trained for war, prepared for invasion. But no one had prepared her for this moment. The moment when fighting meant extinction. "Contact Earth Command," she said quietly. "Tell them we need orders." The hour passed like a heartbeat and an eternity at the same time. Earth's leaders argued, debated, and finally accepted what Admiral Chen already knew. There was no choice. Survival meant surrender. "All ships," Chen broadcast to the fleet. "Stand down. Power down weapons. Prepare for Concord boarding teams." The battle started anyway. Someone on the destroyer Valiant refused the order and fired on the nearest Concord ship. The alien vessel's shields absorbed the blast easily. Then the return fire came. The Valiant exploded in a ball of white light. The blast wave hit 3 other human ships, tearing them apart like paper. In 15 seconds, 4 ships and 2,000 people were gone. "Hold your fire!" Chen screamed into the comm. "All ships, hold your fire!" But panic spreads faster than orders. 6 more ships opened fire. The Concord response was instant and overwhelming. Human vessels exploded across the battlefield. Chen watched in horror as her fleet died around her. "Admiral, they're targeting our engines," her tactical officer shouted. "They're not trying to destroy us all. They're crippling us." It was true. Most human ships were left drifting, powerless but intact. The Concord was teaching a lesson. Resist and die. Surrender and live. The battle lasted 72 hours. It was not really a battle. It was an execution that moved slowly through space, ship by ship. When it ended, 230 human vessels floated dead in space. 70 ships remained, all damaged, all defenseless. Concord shuttles descended through Earth's atmosphere. They landed in every major city. Alien soldiers walked down the ramps, their weapons ready, but no one fought them. The resistance had died in orbit with Admiral Chen's fleet. The surrender document was 300 pages long. Earth's President Marcus Hall signed it with shaking hands. His face was gray, aged 10 years and 3 days. The Concord cameras recorded everything, broadcasting the moment across the galaxy. "Earth accepts the protection of the Galactic Concord," Hall said, reading from the script they had given him. "We acknowledge our violations and submit to Concord authority." The occupation began immediately. Human weapons were collected and destroyed in massive bonfires that could be seen from space. Military bases became Concord facilities. Soldiers became factory workers. Earth's army of 3 million was reduced to nothing in 6 months. Commander Elena Vasquez watched her sidearm melt in an industrial furnace. She had carried that weapon for 12 years. It had saved her life twice. Now it was slag, and she was unemployed. The Concorde had no use for human soldiers. She walked through the streets of New York, barely recognizing the city. Concord patrol ships flew overhead constantly. Alien soldiers stood on street corners watching everyone with their multiple eyes. Humans moved quietly, heads down, trying not to attract attention. A resistance fighter pressed a paper into her hand as she passed. She palmed it quickly, not looking at him. Later, in her tiny apartment, she read the message. They took our weapons, but not our spirit. They occupy our cities, but not our hearts. Wait for the signal. Wait for hope. Elena crumpled the paper and flushed it down the toilet. Hope was a luxury Earth could not afford. The Conquered had won. Humanity had lost. That was the simple truth. But in the document President Hall had signed, buried in hundreds of pages of legal terms, was one sentence that no one noticed. Article 7, Section 3. All military assets present within Sol system at time of cessation. Present within Sol system. The Concord lawyers had written it carefully. The human lawyers had agreed to it numbly. No one stopped to wonder what military assets might exist outside Sol system. No one except the people who had sent them there, decades ago, when Earth's leaders first looked at the stars and realized humanity needed insurance. The Black Fleet was 40 light-years away when Earth surrendered. They did not know about the invasion yet. Light was slow and space was vast. The distress signal was still traveling through the darkness, carrying news of Earth's fall. But it would arrive. And when it did, the Concorde would learn a hard lesson about humanity. You could make humans surrender. You could occupy their world. You could take their weapons, but you could never kill their memory. You could never destroy their rage. And you could never anticipate their plans. The galaxy thought it was over. They thought wrong. 5 years had passed since the surrender. Elena Vasquez no longer thought of herself as commander. That person had died with Earth's freedom. Now she was just another worker in Factory Complex 7, assembling component parts for conquered technology she did not understand. The factory floor was enormous, filled with humans working in neat rows. Conquered overseers watched from elevated platforms, their 4 eyes missing nothing. Talking during work hours was forbidden. Bathroom breaks were timed. Production quotas increased every month. Elena's hands moved automatically, connecting circuits and sealing panels. Her mind wandered as it always did during the long shifts. She thought about the sky. Before the occupation, she had flown through that sky in fighter craft, free and fast. Now the sky belonged to the Concorde. The evening, siren wailed. Work was over. Elena joined the stream of workers shuffling toward the exits. They scanned their identification chips at the gate. The Conquered computer tracked everyone, always. Privacy was another thing humanity had lost. She walked home through gray streets. The city looked clean and efficient now. The Concorde had rebuilt, everything damaged in the invasion. But they had rebuilt it their way, all straight lines and cold metal. The buildings felt like prisons. In her apartment building, Elena climbed 5 flights of stairs. The elevator had been disabled years ago to save power for Conquered facilities. She unlocked her door and stepped into the small space she called home. A man sat in her only chair. Elena's heart hammered. She had not heard him break in. Her training screamed at her to fight, to run. But 5 years of occupation had taught her caution. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. "Someone who remembers the Commander Vasquez who fought at the Battle of Mars," the man said. He was older, with white hair and scarred hands. "My name is Marcus. I'm with the Resistance." "There is no resistance," Elena said. She had heard the rumors, of course. Everyone had. Secret groups planning impossible attacks. But the Concorde crushed every cell they discovered. The punishment for resistance was death. There are dozens of cells across the planet, Marcus said. Small, careful, patient. We've been building for 5 years, and now we need you. Why? I'm nobody. I build circuit boards. You're a soldier. We need soldiers for what's coming. Elena laughed bitterly. What's coming? More oppression? Tighter control? The conquered won, old man. We lost. Marcus stood and pulled a small device from his pocket. He pressed a button, and a holographic image appeared in the air. Elena gasped. The image showed a fleet of ships, thousands of them painted in deep black that seemed to swallow light. Human ships, Earth ships, ships that should not exist. The Black Fleet. Marcus whispered the words like a prayer. They're real, Elena. They've been out there all along. Elena stared at the hologram. That's impossible. All our ships were destroyed or decommissioned. Not all. Before the Concord came, before we even knew they existed, Earth's leaders created the Exodus Initiative. They sent ships to distant stars. Generation ships carrying colonists, engineers, soldiers. They took our technology, our culture, our determination. Why? Why would we send away our best ships? Because Earth's leaders were smart. They looked at the galaxy and realized we were alone, weak, vulnerable. So they created insurance. If Earth ever fell, humanity would survive elsewhere. And more than survive, they would remember. Marcus pressed another button. A new image appeared. A man in a military uniform standing on a bridge. His face was hard, his eyes intense. Text scrolled beneath his image. Admiral James Chen, commander of Exodus Fleet 7. Chen, Elena whispered. Admiral Sarah Chen's grandson? Her great-grandson, actually. The generation ships have been traveling for over 60 years. The people on them have never seen Earth. But they know about her. They know about us. And 5 years ago, our distress signal reached them. Elena felt something she had not felt in years. A flutter in her chest. Hope, fragile and dangerous. They're coming back? They've been coming back. The light speed lag meant our signal took decades to reach them. But their response arrived 3 months ago, encrypted, hidden in radiation bursts from a pulsar. The Concorde hasn't detected it. But we did. Marcus pulled up another image. A message, decoded from noise. We received Earth's call. We're coming. Home. Hold on. Elena sat down hard on her bed. Her mind raced. The Concord will destroy them. They have 15,000 ships. The Concord has 15,000 ships designed to fight other Concord members. Ships built for their style of warfare. But the Black Fleet? They've been fighting pirates, hostile aliens, unknown threats for 60 years. They've adapted, evolved. The Concord has no idea what's coming. When? Elena asked. When will they arrive? Soon. Weeks, maybe days. And when they do, we need to be ready. Every resistance cell across Earth needs to hit the Concord simultaneously, disrupt their communications, sabotage their defenses, give the Black Fleet a chance. Elena looked at the hologram again. Thousands of black ships coming home, coming to save a planet most of them had never seen. What do you need me to do? Marcus smiled. Lead. The cells in this sector need a commander. Someone with training. Someone the Concord hasn't broken. They broke everyone, Elena said quietly. No, Marcus said firmly. They occupied us. They controlled us. But they didn't break us. If they had, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That night, Elna could not sleep. She lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about the Black Fleet. She wondered what kind of people they were, born in space, raised on stories of Earth. What did they think of the planet they had never seen? Did they hate the Concord for what they had done? Or did they simply see it as their duty? Across the city, Ambassador Krelix stood in his command center, watching data streams from across Earth. The humans were obedient. Production was up. Resistance was minimal. The occupation was a success. But something bothered him. A small anomaly in the sensor data. Energy readings from the outer solar system. Probably nothing. Space was full of radiation and cosmic noise. Still, he ordered additional patrols to investigate. The Concord had not conquered half the galaxy by ignoring anomalies. In the Kuiper Belt, ancient human machines continued their work. They had been there for 70 years, silent and patient. Beacon satellites launched before humans even knew the Concord existed. They sent signals into deep space, tight beam transmissions aimed at specific coordinates. The beacons had been broadcasting for decades. "This is Earth. This is home. Find us." And now, finally, someone was answering. A Concord patrol ship approached. One of the beacons, its sensors scanning the old technology. The captain was puzzled. Human design, but ancient. Predating the invasion by decades. "What is this thing transmitting?" he asked his crew. "Coordinates," his tactical officer replied. "It's sending coordinates outward. Into deep space." Coordinates. To what? Before anyone could answer, the ship's sensors screamed a warning. Gravitational distortions, massive ones. Something was emerging from faster-than-light travel. Something big. The patrol ship's cameras captured the moment. A black ship, larger than anything human, materialized from the darkness. Then another. And another. The patrol captain had 1 second to send a warning before the black ships opened fire. His transmission was simple and terrifying. "They're here." Across Earth, in 100 hidden locations, resistance members received a coded message. 3 words that changed everything. "The fleet returns." Elena stood in the factory the next morning, her hands shaking as she assembled circuits. The signal had come. The Black Fleet had arrived. And now, after 5 years of occupation, it was time for humanity to fight back. The Concord thought they had conquered Earth. They thought humans were weak, beaten, finished. They were about to learn the truth. Humanity's strength was not in its weapons. It was in its memory, its patience, and its absolute refusal to give up. The galaxy was about to see what humans did when their backs were against the wall, and the Concord was about to learn why you should never underestimate a species that plans for defeat. The warning reached Ambassador Krelix's command center 90 seconds before the patrol ship stopped transmitting. He stared at the final image. A massive black ship, bristling with weapons, bearing the blue and white insignia of Earth. "Impossible," he whispered. "We destroyed their fleet." His tactical officer's 4 eyes were wide with fear. "Sir, sensors are detecting massive gravity distortions across the entire Oort cloud. Multiple ships, hundreds of them." "Show me." The main display, lit up with thousands of red dots, each one representing a vessel emerging from faster-than-light travel. They appeared in waves, coordinated and precise. This was not a random arrival. This was a military deployment. 4,000 ships, all painted in radar-absorbing black, all heading toward Earth. Krelix felt something he had not experienced in decades: fear. The conquered fleet near Earth numbered 3,000 ships. They had superiority, but not overwhelming superiority. And these human ships were different from the ones they had fought 5 years ago. Larger, more advanced. "Send a fleet-wide alert," he ordered. "Battle stations. Prepare to engage." The transmission that followed was broadcast on every channel, in every human language. "People of Earth, this is Admiral James Chen of the United Earth Defense Force commanding the Exodus Fleet. We received your distress call. We're coming home. To the Concord forces occupying our world. Leave now, or we will remove you." Elena heard the broadcast in the factory. Every human worker stopped moving, staring at the speakers. For 5 years, those speakers had issued only Concord orders. Now they carried a human voice, a defiant voice. The Concord overseers raised their weapons, shouting orders, but the humans were not listening anymore. They were looking at each other, seeing hope reflected in faces that had been dead for 5 years. Marcus appeared at Elena's workstation, pressing a small device into her hand. "Now," he said simply. "Hit them now." Elena looked at the device. A detonator. She thought about the explosive charges the resistance had been placing for months, hidden in Concord power stations and communication hubs. She thought about 5 years of oppression, 5 years of fear. She pressed the button. Across the city, explosions tore through conquered infrastructure. Power grids failed. Communication towers collapsed. The carefully controlled occupation descended into chaos in seconds. The Concord overseers in the factory turned their weapons on the humans. Elena dove behind a workstation as energy blasts seared the air. She had no weapon, no armor. But she was not alone. Thousands of factory workers rushed the overseers. They used tools as weapons, machinery as shields. Humans died, cut down by energy fire. But for every human that fell, 10 more took their place. The Conquered had forgotten something important about Earth. There were billions of humans and only thousands of occupiers. In orbit, the Black Fleet engaged the Conquered defense line. The battle was brutal and immediate. Concord ships had superior shields. Human ships had superior tactics. The Black Fleet did not fight like the old Earth Defense Force. They did not form orderly lines and exchange fire. They scattered, using asteroids and debris as cover. They attacked in small groups, hitting hard and disappearing before the Conquered could respond. Admiral Chen watched the battle from the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable. He had trained for this moment his entire life. Born on a generation ship, raised on stories of Earth's fall, he had never seen the planet he was fighting for, but he knew it in his heart. Enemy cruiser at bearing 270, his tactical officer reported. Charging weapons. Don't engage directly, Chen ordered. Delta Wing, hit them from below. Gamma Wing, prepare to strike when their shields rotate. The plan worked perfectly. The Concorde cruiser was designed to fight enemies that attacked from predictable angles. The Black Fleet attacked from everywhere. The cruiser's shields could not protect all sides at once. When they rotated to block the lower attack, Gamma Wing struck from above. The cruiser exploded, its reactor breaching in a flash of blue light. First, blood, Chen's tactical officer said quietly. First of many, Chen replied. All ships continue guerrilla pattern. Don't let them pin us down. Krelix watched his fleet take damage and struggled to adapt. The humans were fighting wrong. They were not following proper fleet engagement protocols. They were behaving like pirates, not a proper military force. Pull back to high orbit, he ordered. Form a defensive sphere around Earth. Let them come. To us. But the Black Fleet did not come. They remained in the outer system, launching hit-and-run attacks. They destroyed supply ships. They targeted communication satellites. They turned the Concorde's numerical advantage into a liability. They're not trying to win a battle, Krelix realized with growing horror. They're fighting a siege. They're cutting us off from reinforcements. On Earth, Elena led a group of resistance fighters through the burning streets. They had weapons now, taken from dead Concorde soldiers. The aliens were retreating to their fortified positions, consolidating their forces. Don't let them regroup, Elena shouted. Keep the pressure on. A Concord dropship tried to evacuate occupation forces from a government building. Elena's team hit it with a stolen rocket launcher. The ship crashed in a ball of flame, scattering debris across 3 city blocks. Marcus appeared beside her, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Reports from other cities, he gasped. Resistance forces are taking back territory everywhere. The Concorde is losing ground. How long can we hold? Hours, maybe. They still have orbital support. If they start bombarding cities. They won't, Elena said with certainty. If they destroy Earth, they prove the Black Fleet right. They prove they're conquerors, not peacekeepers. The Concorde cares about their image in the galaxy. She was right. Krelix stood in his command center, receiving reports of human uprisings across the planet. His commanders were requesting permission to orbital strike the rebellious cities. Denied, he said firmly. We are a peacekeeping force. We will retake the cities with ground troops. But he did not have enough ground troops. The Conquered had never needed many. The occupation had relied on fear and human compliance. Now both were gone. In space, the Black Fleet was winning. Slowly, carefully, they pushed the Concorde back. Every hour brought more human ships through the outer system. The initial 4,000 had grown to 6,000. Generation ships carrying colonists, mining vessels converted to warships, research ships equipped with experimental weapons. "Where are they all coming from?" Krelix demanded. "Multiple star systems," his intelligence officer reported. "The humans established colonies at least 20 different systems. They've been building this fleet for decades." Krelix understood then. The humans he had defeated 5 years ago had been weak, but they had been planning. For generations, they had been preparing for this exact moment. Earth had not surrendered. Earth had been buying time. Admiral Chen broadcast another message. "Conquered forces, you have 6 hours to withdraw from Earth. After that, we will come down there and remove you ourselves. We are offering you mercy. Do not mistake it for weakness." Krelix stared at the transmission. 6 hours. He looked at his fleet damaged and depleted. He looked at Earth, where human resistance controlled half the major cities. He looked at the tactical display where thousands of black ships waited like predators. For the first time in his career, Ambassador Krelix considered retreat. Elena stood on the roof of a reclaimed building watching the sky. Distant flashes marked battles in orbit. Concord ships burning, human ships advancing. The sky that had been a prison for 5 years was becoming a battlefield. Beside her, Marcus smiled. "They came back," he said softly. "They really came back." "Did you doubt?" "Every day, I told myself to believe, to have faith. But deep down, I thought maybe we were alone." "We're never alone," Elena said. "That's what the Concord never understood. You can't kill humanity by destroying Earth. We're more than one planet now. We're an idea, and ideas can't be conquered." The Black Fleet moved closer to Earth. Their black hulls reflected nothing, making them look like holes in space. To the Conquered, they seemed like death itself coming home. To humans, they looked like hope. The 6 hours passed. The Conquered did not withdraw, and the Black Fleet began its descent to Earth, coming to finish what 5 years of occupation could not destroy: humanity's will to be free. The battle for Earth lasted 3 months. It was unlike any conflict the galaxy had ever seen. The Conquered fought with overwhelming numbers and superior technology. Humanity fought with rage, cunning, and absolute determination. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, studying tactical displays that showed 1,000 small battles across Earth's orbital space. The Conquered had established defensive positions around major cities, using their occupation forces as shields. They knew humans would hesitate to bombard their own people. They were wrong about that, too. "Target the Conquered fortress above New York," Chen ordered. "Fire precision strikes, take out their communications array." "Sir, there are human civilians within the blast radius," his weapons officer warned. "I'm aware. Those civilians have been living under occupation for 5 years. They'll accept the risk. Fire." The Indomitable's railguns spoke with violence, hurling tungsten rods at a fraction of light speed. The Concord Fortress's shields held for 3 seconds before collapsing. The station broke apart, debris raining down on the city below. On the ground, Elena watched the burning wreckage fall from the sky. Pieces of the Concord station crashed into abandoned buildings, sending plumes of smoke into the air. Human casualties were minimal. Chen's targeting had been precise. "That's our signal," Elena told her resistance fighters. "The Black Fleet is clearing the way. Time to take back our city." They moved through the streets in small teams, hitting Concord positions fast and hard. The aliens had superior weapons and armor, but they were fighting on human ground now. Every alley, every building, every sewer tunnel was a potential ambush. Point Elena's team cornered a group of Concord soldiers in a shopping complex. The aliens took defensive positions, their energy weapons cutting through concrete like paper. But they could not watch every angle at once. "Marcus, take your group through the maintenance tunnels," Elena ordered. "Come up behind them. We'll keep them busy from the front." It worked. The Concord soldiers focused their fire on Elena's position, never seeing Marcus's team emerge behind them. The battle was over in seconds, more weapons, more equipment. The resistance grew stronger with every fight. In orbit, the Black Fleet adapted to Concord tactics with frightening speed. Admiral Chen had spent his entire life studying alien warfare. He knew how the Concord thought, how they fought, how they won, and he knew how to beat them. They rely on formation integrity, he explained to his squadron commanders during a tactical briefing. They fight like a single organism, each ship supporting the others. We need to break their formations, isolate their ships, turn their strength into weakness. The strategy worked. Black Fleet ships would feint at one part of the Concord formation, drawing ships out of position, then strike at the gap with overwhelming force. The Concord formation would collapse, ships scrambling to reform. But the Black Fleet never gave them time. It was not glorious. It was not honorable by Concord standards. But it was effective. Ambassador Krelix watched his fleet die by pieces. His commanders sent constant requests for reinforcements, but the nearest Concord battle group was 6 weeks away. The Black Fleet had cut off all supply lines, turning Earth into an isolated battlefield. We should withdraw, his second-in-command suggested. Regroup. Come back with a larger force. And abandon our occupation troops? Krelix demanded. Leave thousands of our people to die on that planet? They're dying anyway, sir. At least if we withdraw, the fleet survives. Krelix hated the logic, but he could not deny it. The humans were winning, not through superior technology or numbers. They were winning through sheer relentless aggression. They fought like they had nothing to lose because they truly believed that. He was about to give the withdrawal order when his sensors officer shouted a warning. Multiple human ships on intercept course. They're heading straight for us. 20 Black Fleet vessels moving at maximum acceleration. Suicide ships, Krelix realized. They were going to ram his command carrier. All weapons fire. Destroy those ships. But the Black Fleet ships were not suicide vessels. At the last moment, they scattered, releasing thousands of small objects. Kinetic kill vehicles. Chunks of dense metal moving at incredible speed. The Concord shields could not stop them all. The impact sounded like thunder. Krelix's command carrier shuddered as hundreds of projectiles punched through armor. Systems failed across the ship. Life support, weapons, engines, all damaged. Abandon. Ship, Krelix ordered. All personnel to escape pods. Admiral Chen watched the Concord flagship die. He felt no satisfaction, only grim determination. War was not about glory. It was about winning. Capture those escape pods, he ordered. I want Krelix alive. The Concord ambassador was brought to the Indomitable in restraints. Chen met him in the brig, studying the alien through the transparent barrier. Krelix's four eyes met his, still defiant despite his defeat. You cannot win, Krelix said. The Concord is vast. We will send more fleets, larger fleets. Maybe, Chen replied. But you won't be leading them, and they'll be coming to fight humans, not occupy them. There's a difference. What difference? Occupied humans are conquered. Free humans are dangerous. Chen leaned forward. You made a mistake, Ambassador. You thought our surrender meant we were defeated. But Earth didn't surrender. We used Article 7, Section 3 of your own treaty. All military assets present within Sol system at the time of cessation. We weren't lying. We just didn't mention the assets we sent away decades before you arrived. Krelix's eyes widened as understanding dawned. The Exodus ships. You planned this. Before we ever came to Earth, you were already preparing. Not for you specifically, for anyone. Earth's leaders looked at the galaxy and realized we were weak, so they made us strong. They sent away our best and brightest, our weapons and technology, our hopes and dreams. They created insurance. Insurance? If Earth falls, humanity survives. If humanity survives, humanity can come back. And when we come back, we don't come peacefully. On Earth, the conquered occupation was collapsing. Cut off from orbital support, alien soldiers surrendered by the thousands. Some fought to the end, dying in their fortified positions. Others simply walked out with their hands raised, hoping for mercy. Elena gave them mercy. She was a soldier, not a murderer. But the mercy was cold. The Concord prisoners were confined to camps, guarded day and night. They would remain there until every human-occupied world was freed. The Battle of Luna marked the turning point. The Conquered had established a major base on Earth's moon, using it as a staging ground for operations. Admiral Chen led the assault personally, commanding 300 ships in a direct attack. The battle lasted 6 hours. The Concord defenders were well entrenched, their defenses formidable. But the Black Fleet brought experimental weapons, developed during decades in deep space. Electromagnetic pulse bombs that shut down entire defense grids, nano-drones that ate through armor like acid, kinetic bombardment that turned the moon's surface into hell. When the Conquered base finally fell, Chen ordered his ships to hold position, above it. Then he broadcast a message to the remaining Conquered forces throughout Sol System. This is Admiral James Chen. Your base on Luna has fallen. Your fleet is destroyed. Your ambassador is our prisoner. You have lost. Surrender now, and we will treat you fairly. Continue fighting, and we will show you what humanity does to invaders who threaten our home. The remaining Conquered ships powered down their weapons. The occupation was over. Earth was free. But freedom had come at a terrible cost. Cities lay in ruins. Millions were dead. The orbital battle had scattered debris throughout Earth's atmosphere, creating a permanent hazard for space travel. The planet bore scars that would take generations to heal. Elena stood in the ruins of New York looking at the devastated city. Buildings had collapsed. Streets were craters. The factory where she had worked for 5 years was nothing but rubble. Admiral, Chen found her there walking through the destruction. He had never seen Earth before, never walked on its surface. The gravity felt heavy to someone raised in artificial environments. Commander Vasquez, he said, offering his hand. I've heard about your work during the occupation. The Resistance owes you a great debt. Elena shook his hand, feeling the calluses of a man who had spent his life in war. You came back, she said simply. That's all that mattered. We never left, not really. Earth is humanity's heart. As long as the heart beats, the body survives. They walked together through the ruins. Chen saw the devastation and understood the cost of occupation. Elena saw the Black Fleet ships overhead and understood the cost of freedom. What happens now? Elena asked. The Conquered will come back. Larger fleets, like Krellick said. Maybe. But they'll negotiate now. They've seen what we can do. They've learned that humans are not easy prey. Chen stopped, looking at the sky. And we've learned something too. We're not alone anymore. Humanity exists on 20 different worlds now. Earth is our home, but it's not our only home. The Concord can never threaten us with extinction again. That night, the Black Fleet held a memorial service in orbit. Every ship lit their external lights, creating a constellation of stars around Earth. On the surface, humans did the same, lighting candles and fires in every city and town. Billions of lights shone in the darkness, remembering those who had died, remembering 5 years of occupation, remembering the price of freedom. Admiral Chen stood on his bridge, watching Earth glow like a jewel against the black of space. He had never seen it before, but he had fought for it his entire life. And now, finally, he understood why. Earth was not just a planet. It was an idea, a promise, a declaration that humanity would never surrender, never give up, never stop fighting for its right to exist. The Concord had learned that lesson the hard way. The rest of the galaxy would learn it, soon enough. The Concord sued for peace 6 months after the Battle of Luna. Their diplomatic vessel arrived at the edge of Sol System, broadcasting requests for negotiation on all frequencies. Admiral Chen kept them waiting for 3 days before responding. Let them sweat, he told his command staff. Let them understand that Earth sets the terms now, not them. When the negotiations finally began, the Concord representatives were shocked to find themselves treated as equals rather than superiors. The humans sat across the table with hard faces and harder demands. Elena attended the negotiations as Earth's representative. She had been elected to the New Earth Council, a temporary government formed from resistance leaders and surviving politicians. She wore her old military uniform, cleaned and repaired. The scars of occupation were visible on her face and in her eyes. "The previous treaty is void," Elena stated flatly. "Earth will not accept conquered protection. We will not disarm. We will not allow foreign military forces in Sol system." The conquered diplomat, a different species than Kreliax, gestured with its tentacles in what might have been distress. "But the Treaty of Czar 9 clearly states—" "The treaty you used to justify invasion?" Elena interrupted. "The treaty you used as an excuse to occupy our world? That treaty is dead. We're writing a new one." The negotiations took months. The conquered wanted limitations on human expansion. Earth wanted reparations for the occupation. Both sides made demands. Both sides compromised. Slowly, painfully, a new treaty took shape. The Treaty of Terra established humanity as an independent power in the galaxy. Earth would join the Galactic Concord not as a protected species but as a full member with equal voting rights. Human colonies would be recognized as sovereign territory. And most importantly, humanity retained the right to maintain military forces anywhere in the galaxy. "You realize what you've done?" the Concord diplomat said during a private meeting. "You've changed the entire structure of galactic politics. Other species will demand the same rights." "Good," Elena replied. "Maybe the conquered should have been treating everyone as equals from the start." While diplomats argued about treaties, Admiral Chen faced a different challenge. The Black Fleet needed to integrate with Earth, but it was not easy. The returning humans had spent decades in space. They had developed their own cultures, their own ways of thinking. Many had never seen a natural sky or breathed unfiltered air. Chen met with Earth's leaders in what remained of Geneva. The city was being rebuilt, but progress was slow. The scars of war were everywhere. "My people don't know Earth," Chen admitted. "They know the idea of Earth, the stories and legends, but living here, that's different." President Maria Santos, who had replaced the disgraced President Hall, nodded understanding. "And my people see yours as saviors, heroes from the stars. But you're not heroes, you're human, flawed and complicated like the rest of us." "What do? We build something new. Not the old Earth, not the Black Fleet. Something that combines both. We take the best of what we were and what you became." It sounded simple. It was not. Black Fleet veterans struggled with Earth's gravity and diseases. Earth natives resented the returning humans' superior technology and military experience. Arguments turned into fights. Fights turned into riots. Elena found herself mediating disputes between Earth natives and Black Fleet colonists almost daily. One incident particularly troubled her. A Black Fleet engineer had redesigned a water purification system without consulting the Earth technicians. The new design was more efficient, but required rare materials. The Earth workers felt insulted and ignored. "You can't just change everything because you think you know better," Elena told the engineer, a young woman named Kira who had been born on a generation ship. "But I do know better," Kira replied. "Earth's technology is 60 years behind ours. We've had to innovate to survive in deep space, and we've had to survive under occupation for 5 years. Different challenges, different solutions. Neither is better. They're just different." Slowly, painfully, the two groups learned to work together. Black Fleet engineers taught Earth scientists about advanced propulsion systems. Earth veterans taught Black Fleet soldiers about guerrilla warfare and resistance tactics. Knowledge flowed both ways. The real change came when other species began contacting Earth secretly. A delegation from the Yith Collective arrived unannounced, their ship bearing white flags and desperate pleas. "The conquered subjugated our people 200 years ago," their leader explained. "They said it was for our protection. But we've been slaves ever since. When we heard what humanity did, how you fought back and won, we had to know. How did you do it?" Elena looked at Admiral Chen. They both understood what this meant. Earth's victory had inspired others. The conquered's empire was beginning to crack. "We sent away our hopes before the invaders arrived," Chen explained. "We created backup plans, insurance policies. When Earth fell, humanity survived elsewhere. When we came back strong." The Yith leader's multiple eyes gleamed. with understanding. You prepared for defeat by ensuring it wouldn't be permanent. Exactly. Within a year, 3 other subjugated species had contacted Earth for advice. Within 2 years, the first Exodus ships from other worlds launched into deep space, carrying their own hopes and dreams to distant stars. The Conquered watched this development with growing alarm. Ambassador Krellix, released from human captivity as part of the peace treaty, warned his government about what was coming. The humans didn't just defeat us militarily, he told the Conquered High Council. They defeated us ideologically. They proved that subjugated species can fight back, can win. Every species under our protection is now questioning whether they need our protection at all. The Conquered faced a choice: reform or face galaxy-wide rebellion. They chose reform. Slowly, reluctantly, the structure of galactic politics began to change. Protected species became partner species. Military occupation became mutual defense agreements. The Empire transformed into something more like the coalition it had always claimed to be. Earth established the Exodus Protocol as permanent policy. At any moment, 10% of humanity's population was traveling between stars, establishing new colonies, building new fleets. If Earth ever fell again, humanity would survive. And more than survive, they would remember, they would rebuild, and they would return. Elena stood on the observation deck of a newly constructed space station, watching ships come and go. Earth vessels, Black Fleet ships, and now vessels from dozens of other species, all trading freely in Sol system. Admiral. Chen joined her, his face showing the wear of command. He had aged visibly in the 2 years since liberation. Thinking about retiring? Elena asked with a slight smile. Every day, but there's too much work. The Black Fleet is being reorganized into the new Earth Defense Force. We're training crews, building ships, establishing protocols. And I can't stop thinking about what comes next. We won this time, but there will be other threats, other enemies. Can we really maintain the Exodus Protocol forever? Elena looked at the stars. We don't have a choice. The moment we stop sending ships away is the moment we become vulnerable again. Our strength isn't that we're unbeatable, it's that we're unkillable. You can destroy Earth, but you can't destroy humanity. Chen nodded slowly. The Concord learned that. The hard way. A new ship undocked from the station, its engines glowing as it prepared for the long journey to a distant star. Another Exodus ship, another insurance policy. Aboard were families, engineers, soldiers, teachers. Everything needed to build a new world. Elena wondered what they would find out there, new friends or new enemies, paradise or hardship. It did not matter. They would survive. They would adapt. And if Earth ever called for help again, they would answer. That was humanity's promise to itself. Never again would they be alone. Never again would they be helpless. Never again would anyone mistake their patience for weakness or their diplomacy for cowardice. A century passed. Earth rebuilt and prospered. The Black Fleet became a legend, told to children as a bedtime story. Old veterans gathered annually to remember the occupation, the battle, the cost of freedom. Elena Vasquez died at age 93, surrounded by her children and grandchildren. Her last words were recorded and became part of Earth's memorial. We bent, but we did not break. We fell, but we rose again. And we will always, always come back. Admiral James Chen lived to be 107. He spent his final years teaching at the Earth Defense Academy, training new generations of officers. His students asked him once what the secret was, how humanity had defeated the Conquered. His answer was simple. We never stopped planning. We never stopped hoping. And we never, ever gave up. Remember that. And humanity will outlast any empire, survive any threat, overcome any challenge. The Black Fleet itself was decommissioned, its ships outdated by newer technology. But the name lived on. Every human fleet was called the Black Fleet in honor of those who had come home. Every ship bore the insignia. A black vessel against stars, with Earth shining blue in the background. And in hidden shipyards around 100 distant stars, New generation ships continued to launch, carrying humanity's future into the unknown. The Exodus Protocol remained Earth's most fundamental law. 10% of humanity, always traveling, always building, always preparing. The galaxy learned to respect humanity, not because humans were stronger or smarter or more advanced, but because humans were persistent, relentless, unkillable. You could occupy Earth, you could burn its cities and kill its people, but you could never truly defeat humanity, because somewhere, out in the dark between stars, humans were building, planning, preparing, and when Earth called, they would always come home. The conquered never threatened Earth again. Neither did anyone else. The lesson had been taught. The price had been paid, and the galaxy remembered. You can fight humanity, you might even win, but humanity always has a contingency plan, and that plan always involves coming back stronger, angrier, and more determined than before. That was the legacy of the Black Fleet. That was humanity's promise to itself and warning to the galaxy. We will never surrender. We will never give up, and we will always, always come back. That was the story of how humanity almost lost everything, and how humanity's refusal to accept defeat changed